Okay, let's get right into it. As an examiner, I see this happen year after year. Students losing crucial marks on theory questions that should be easy wins. Well, today, we're going to fix that. We are laser focused on the 2-mark questions for functions and exception handling. You know, the ones that can literally be the difference between a good grade and a truly great one. It might sound like a small thing, but it's absolutely true. These questions are designed to be quick points, but you have to be precise. You need the perfect keywords. Getting these right at the start of your paper, that's a huge confidence booster. So, let's master them together. First up, a topic that is, I guarantee you, going to show up on your exam: how Python gets information into functions. You absolutely have to know the difference between positional, keyword, and default arguments. This is totally non-negotiable. Alright, here's our first flashcard. Go ahead and pause if you want to think it through. How would you answer this for 2 full marks? This is a classic question. So, before we look at the perfect answer, let's just lock in the main idea. It really all comes down to one simple thing. How does Python connect the values you're giving it with the placeholders, the parameters, inside the function? That method of matching is what makes an argument positional or keyword. And here you go. This is your perfect 2-mark answer. For positional arguments, point 1, they are matched by their order. Point 2, the count of arguments has to match up perfectly. For keyword arguments, the whole game changes. They are matched by name, which means, and this is the key, the order doesn't matter at all. You write this down and you get the marks. It's that simple. Okay, let's hit the next common question. Now, this one's got 2 parts to it. You need a definition and you need a rule about its placement. To get the full 2 marks, you've got to nail both. So, what's the big idea here? It's all about making your functions more flexible. A default argument is like having a plan B value. It's a fallback that lets you call a function without having to provide every single little thing, every single time. And here are your 2 scoring points. First, the definition. It's a parameter that already has a value assigned to it right in the function header. Second, and this is the golden rule, default arguments must come at the end, after all the regular non-default arguments. That's a strict syntax rule in Python you just can't break. Now, this code example is just perfect because it pulls everything we've talked about together. Look at the function definition. Principal and time are positional, right? But rate is a default argument. Then, look at how we call the function. We're using keyword arguments, time equals 5 and principal equals 10,000. This shows you how all these types can play together nicely. Definitely keep this example in your mind. Alright, let's shift gears to our next essential topic, variable scope. This is all about where in your program a variable is actually alive and can be used. Getting this wrong is what leads to that dreaded name error. And here's another classic differentiate between question. Again, you want to think about 2 key things. Where's the variable created, and where can you access it? You know, the core concept here is really about boundaries. Think of a variable's scope as its home turf. A global variable has, like, a passport to go anywhere in the entire program. But a local variable, it's stuck in its own little neighborhood, the function where it was created. Here's the breakdown you need. For global, defined at the top level, accessible everywhere. For local, defined inside a function, and accessible only inside that function. Get those 2 points down for each, and you've locked in your marks. And for our final section, we're going to tackle something a little more subtle and exception handling. A lot of students get try and accept, but showing you understand the specific purpose of the else and finally blocks, that's where you show real mastery. This is such a great question because it really separates the students who know the basics from those who truly understand how a program flows. What is the exact condition that makes each of these blocks run? So the key idea here is all about control. After Python tries to run the code in the try block, what happens next? Did it work or did it fail? These extra blocks let you write code to handle both of those outcomes with total precision. And here it is, laid out perfectly. For the else block, the keyword you need to remember is success. It runs only if the try block finishes without any errors. Think of it as your hooray, it worked code. Now for the finally block, the keyword is always. It runs no matter what, success, failure, it doesn't care. That's why it's absolutely essential for cleanup actions like closing a file. You have to memorize this distinction. And there you have it. We've just broken down parameter passing, variable scope, and exception handling into the exact 2-point answers that examiners are looking for. Review these, get them clear in your head, and you'll be all set. That's the core theory for Unit 1. In Part 2, we break down the theory of file handling, text, binary, and CSV. Don't miss it.